Hello everyone. This be pretty visible to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Is it visible? Sagar, Gautam.
Yes, sir. It's visible. Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I'm.
Okay.
Is it visible? This PPT?
Yes, it's visible. Three
Okay,
point like.
that's great. Okay. Okay. No, it's okay. As you guys can see over there in that PPT, in a starting that I wanted to discuss on the 3-point lighting, that is key light, tail light, and backlight. But before starting that the 3-point lighting, I want to discuss on these things that attributes of light. When you are doing lighting, right, or when you are explaining lighting in terms of, if you are think about the point of view of FTI exams, so sometimes you have to explain, the lighting or lighting situations, how light is coming, which kind of light is falling. So for that reason, I just wanted to discuss these things because you guys know what is 3-point lighting is and why we use these lights. So in that notes, there's a few certain things about the light when you try to explaining the light, and when you wanted to do like the in practically you wanted to do the lighting, you must have to know this aspect of lights, or you can say there's the attributes of light, that is quality, direction, color, intensity, and the texture. Because once you have started doing lighting, or once you explaining the lighting of the films, maybe because in terms of cinematography, you will not only explain the framing or the the camera position, camera height, camera angle, or camera movement. Lighting is also important. How lighting convey the mood. So to explain those things, you must have to know these elements so you can explain it in proper manners once you are explaining the lighting of a film. Right. So we have started with the what is quality of light? Friends, anyone have any idea what is quality? No?
So how bright or how low, like
No.
lowest?
No. That's the confusion. That's why before starting that the 3-point lighting, I wanted to discuss these things, right?
Hard light or soft light?
Yeah, somehow. So in terms of quality, quality is not the intensity of the light, right? Quality, how hard your shadows is, right? And how soft your shadows is. That is quality of light, right? For suppose, for an example, you guys have using candle, right? So in candle, have you seen the shadows? How much sharp the shadows is, or how hard shadows is? दिखता है सबको ना in candle, right? In candle light, there's a too hard shadow that is produced. At the same point of time, Just switch on your tube lights and a CFL bulb. Have you seen that much of shadows in that light? No.
No.
So basically, candle light shadows is harder than the like your CFL or whatever the LEDs that you are using. But in terms of intensity, do you think your candle light is much brighter than your like the whatever the light that you are using, your CFL light? Is
No, sir.
it? So intensity is totally different, right? Ki how bright it is, it doesn't mean that the bright light will produce the hard shadows. Maybe the bright light will be the softer light, or you can make it softer. So quality is something different. Quality is how hard or how soft your shadows is. Just for suppose for an example, have you seen this in sunlight? How your shadow is falling, right? Which kind of shadows is? Is it hard or soft? It's hard, right? In bright sunny day, right? It's hard, right? At the same point of time, if there is a cloud, what happened? It's soft. होता है soft
Yes, sir.
in cloud. So what's happened? Just read it once. Now, just see an example. It will be more clear. Now, say in this image, have you seen any shadows? Any hard shadows? Is there any shadows? But it's
No.
much brighter, more brighter, right? So there is a no shadow. So you can say in terms of quality, the quality of light is very softer, right? And this one, it's also brighter light, but at the same point of time, it produces hard shadows. See the difference? In this one, there's no shadows. In this one, there's a more shadows. So overall, if you see the intensity is nearby, intensity दोनों का लगभग same है. But at the same point of time, when you are talking about the quality of light, now the quality of light of this image is harder, or this image is softer. So basically, how now I can explain it. Why there's a soft light or there's a hard light, right? As for just for example, I told you the candle light about the candle, right? In candle, there's a hard shadows, right? And in your tube light or some another light, there's a soft shadows, right? So you can say that the candle is a hard light and the tube light is soft light. If you compare it, basically, then it will be right. So basically, it's just like that. Smaller the source, harder the quality will be, or harder the shadows is. जितना छोटा source होगा, your quality of light will that much of harder. Bigger the source, softer the quality. जितना बड़ा सोर्स होगा आपकी क्वालिटी उतनी ज्यादा सॉफ्ट होगी. जस्ट अभी मैंने कहा था आपको एग्जांपल के लिए कि डायरेक्ट सनलाइट इज फॉलिंग एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम देयर इज अ वेरी हार्ड शैडोज, राइट? बट एट सेम पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम देयर इज अ क्लाउड. नो, क्या हो गया? द क्लाउड इज बिकम सोर्स, राइट? अब जो सोर्स बन गया दैट इज क्लाउड. अब क्या हो गया? सोर्स आपका और बड़ा हो गया. सो दैट्स द रीजन नाउ द क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइट विल बी सॉफ्टर. सो नाउ द एनी हार्ड लाइट, कोई भी हार्ड लाइट है, इट कैन बी सॉफ्टर. आप उसे सॉफ्ट कर सकते हो बाय बाय यूजिंग द डिफ्यूजर, राइट? If you're using the bigger source of diffuser, you can take it out कि light becomes softer, or the source of light becomes softer, right? कि whatever light is coming, that becomes softer. वो अब hard shadows produce नहीं कर रहा है. So basically, bigger the source, softer the light is. Now read it once, then I'll explain. There's a two term that is written over there. There's the low key lighting and the high key lighting. Before explaining it, I just try to explain the what is contrast is, right? Contrast means how in daytime and what in night time, how you feel it's night and it's day. The reason how you feel, what is the main factor through which you consider this is night and this is day? How you consider it?
Availability of sunlight, sir.
No, because right now I'm
Shadows.
talking. It's a contrast, right? It's a contrast. In daytime also there is a shadows, right? But there is a less contrast. In the daytime, you can see outside your house. Just go to your balcony and see the things. Everything is visible because there's a less contrast, right? You can see the wall, you can see the another buildings and everything, right? So there is a less contrast in daytime because there is much more light that is falling, that is coming. But at the night, what happened? You can see there's a contrast, right? You can go to your balcony, see few houses is only, right? The wall or some lamp is somewhere on the street light or something else, but everything is not visible. So that's basically why, because it's contrast. So the main difference between day and night is the contrast. The daytime have the less contrast, the nighttime have the more contrast. That's the basic differences. अब उसको आप explain करने add on more things, but in terms of lighting also, when you are explaining lighting, it's totally when you are talking about the lighting of the films, how lighting impact the mood of the films, right? So it's just the quality of light through which you can explain those things, ki how this kind of light, how high key lighting impact the mood of the films or the characters, right? So there's a two terms come that the low key lighting and the high key lighting. Low key lighting means there will be high contrast. High contrast means there will be more contrast. Just like high key lighting means there will be less contrast. So you can connect it in the daytime, there's a high key light, and the night time, there's a low key light, right? Because low key light have the high contrast. At the night time, there's a, मैं इसको just for an example कह रहा हूँ, don't take it for सिर्फ समझने के लिए एग्जाम्पल में जरूरी नहीं कि आप यही लिखो just for the understanding those things कि what is low key lighting is. जैसे low key lighting होगा there will be the high contrast means highlight and shadows में there will be much more difference between highlight and shadows. Within an image there's a three things: highlight, shadows and mid-tone, right? If you guys have written anything about the exposure, so there's a three things within the any exposure, that is there will be in your like composition, there will be highlights, there will be mid-tone, there will be shadows. Do you think if there is only highlight within the your frame or your composition, what it will be? क्या होगा ये? It will appear very flat. Just see to your passport, see to your passport size images. क्या होता है इसके साथ? Is there any key fill? Is there any contrast? Your passport size photo or like the flash photography, most of the time it's totally flat. The reason there is a no contrast in terms of lighting, there will be contrast in terms of the background, in terms of costumes, in terms of colors. Right now here I am talking about the in terms of light, right? So on face you can see it's totally flat. Just for an example, in the soft light, as you can see over here, it's totally flat. If you're talking about the like the face, right? But in this one, there's a contrast. See the on forehead, there's a shadows. On the background, some shadows on the leaf and that areas, right? But in this one, the previous one, it's totally flat. Have you seen like the Wes Anderson film Moonrise Kingdom? Any one of you?
So which
So
one?
can you repeat?
Moonrise Kingdom.
No,
Wes
sir.
Anderson film. No. Okay. Any film that you feel there is a less contrast, there is no much more contrast. चलो एक example देता हूँ. I think most of you guys have watched The Godfather.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Godfather 1, right? So just talk about the preview, the starting scene where the sun wedding is going on, right? In outside,
Hmm.
that the wedding scene, right? Have you seen the wedding scene? There's a very less contrast is there, right? Well, because of the daylight, so सबके face पे, even amount of light and the colors and everything is there. Just cut to indoor, whether that guy is sitting over there, right? Do you
Hmm.
feel that there is the same contrast in both scenes?
No, no. There's a lot of
Inside,
difference.
there much more contrast. The reason is that character is very mysterious. Have you seen there's a top light is over there, so the eyes is not visible. Most
Hmm.
of the scene, in most of the scene, you can see that for that particular character, there's a top light, and there's a too much contrast inside the room. You can see through the windows or something else, the sunlight is coming, but that light is not properly visible and that is not penetrating inside the room because there's a much more dark things, right? Dark properties over there. So that create much more contrast. The reason is that contrast is related to the character, right? उस character को mood को depict करता था because it's very mysterious character. If your eyes is not visible, you can, identify anyone emotions through the eyes, right? Through the eyes, you can know that what he is thinking about, what is going in his mind. But if that eyes is not visible, that cause very mysterious person, right? You can feel that कि क्या सोच रहा है, नहीं सोच रहा है, पता नहीं चल रहा है because everything you can see through the eyes, in that character's eyes. So there's a top light, so that create that much of contrast. So that's also a low key lighting. Or at the same point of time, I told you, आप बाहर वाला scene देखोगे, there was a high key lighting, so there is a very less contrast. So it's also related to your characters, the mood or scene, right? So according to scene, according to the characters, according to the mood, like those kind of lightings over there in terms of quality. So why I'm explaining these things, once you are explaining films, in terms of once you started writing about the films or cinematography of the films, you can write about the lighting, but why that particular lighting that director choose, or why that particular situations or scene this kind of light, why there's a hard light, why there's a soft light. So now you can explain those things, right? Or once you are explaining in terms of lighting only, even you can explain it in the point. Always I keep talking those things. When there are 5 marks or 10 marks, don't go with that, but always write your answer in points. Suppose if they are asking for the lighting or something else, in any situations, you can write about the quality, you can write about the intensity, you can write about the colors, right? So what happened if you write it in the pointers? As an example, they know, okay, one point is over there. So at least you can secure your 3 or 4 points or 4 numbers. So don't write it at once. And also, once you start writing about the quality only, you can only write about the quality. But once you start writing about the lighting, you can write, you have started with the quality, just in meanwhile, you can write about the colors. Again, you have started about the quality because you don't know where to stop. But once you start about the writing in points, so once you finish with the quality, now you will start writing about the colors. Now you can start about the intensity. You can now start about the like direction. So started writing in points. Uh, because why I'm telling you, telling you according to your, the for exam purpose, right? For the clear point of view. So that's the reason I just write it in point and point.
Sir, one doubt.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh, is that in low key lighting is low key lighting which is only the contrast thing, or we can
I
create any using soft light we can create less contrast in low key lighting.
It could be look. If there's a soft light, and even soft light, you can create that contrast. It's totally depend upon how ratio you are using, right? In this light also, you can create that contrast, right? If there's a key and fill. So, but this is a kind of flat light. So that's the reason. after this discussion, we'll discuss that the key and fill ratio. And even it's not only about, the quality. You can create contrast through the colors also. Because right now that's why I told you earlier, here I'm only talking about the lighting point of view, the contrast. You can even create a contrast by colors itself, right? By the properties itself. If just, I'm talking about that film is the Joker here, right? Have you seen the contrast in films? Have you seen the how shadows is keep changing from starting to end? How the color
Yes.
have been changed? Have you seen that how it's become warmer, how it's cool? Have you seen? So sometimes they choose to create contrast with the help of light.
Oh.
He, or sometimes it will be the color of light. Sometimes have you seen that the many times there's a very warm light coming on his face. Sometimes a very blue or neon kind of light that is coming on his face. So it's also through the colors of light, they are also creating a contrast. But when you are talking about this soft light, you can create it, right? You have to control the light. Or most of the time, what happens, people are thinking ki soft light is non-directional light. Non-directional light means what? His light, any light that is falling from, look at the bouncing elements. Any bouncing light could be the non-directional light because that light don't have the certain direction. So it's totally diffuse light, and also it will not produce a hard shadows. But even you can make any hard light, you can make that light softer. So if there will be the key and fill and there will be the certain ratio, you can create those contrast. So if there is a low key lighting, it means it's just the high contrast will be there. Low key light hoga, but there will be high contrast. Or it's very simple. If you any source that is bigger, right, that will produce more light. Simple, no? For example, there was a frame from No Country for Old Men. One second. Yeah, this one. Now say this things. What happened? Is there contrast? There is a contrast by light, by properties, by background, right?
Yes, sir. Very high contrast.
Yeah, very high contrast means this is example of low key lighting. This one is the example of low key lighting. Low key lighting is very simple. Low key lighting means there will be high contrast. It took 2016 or 17 FTI. 1 mark question, I think it will be. It was, I think, it was. What was the low key lighting?
So, excuse me.
Yeah.
So, is there any fill light in the shot?
Is there any? Yeah,
Fill
there is.
light in the
No,
shot.
look. I can't explain like that. Is there fill light or not? Because I was not on the set, right? So basically, if you can say, you can ask me, is there fill light? I can say, yeah, there's a fill light, but it's a negative fill. It's negative fill because another part is not visible properly. That the skin tone. Maybe I have taken some screenshot or somewhere else. It's not the totally movie grab. So maybe in movie there is a little bit highlights or something else. Maybe there's no backlight at all, but the another part is not visible. So maybe there is a fill, but that called negative fill. Negative fill means I just explain it to you. The fill is simply you bounce something or give the little bit, the light to the fill side. Or negative fill means suppose you are doing this light from another side and that light is bouncing on certain surface and that surface is giving you some fill light, right? Suppose karo wallpaper, that light is falling on your wall and from the wall that light is bouncing back, right? So it will give you certain amount of light. So if you block those light, like with the help of black cloth. If you put the black cloth over there, so because the black cloth have the qualities, it will absorb the light. That's the reason on set people are using black foil, black paper, black cutter piece to cut the light, because it will absorb the light. So if you use that black cloth, no light will bounce back. So it's called a negative fill. So if I can see this image, I can say that there's a negative fill because another area is not totally visible. If I use one light, another side, maybe somehow from the wall, somewhere else, that area will be illuminated. But exactly, I can't say that. Yeah, but properly a screenshot hai. So if you watch the movies, then you can recognize if that light is coming or not, that fill light is coming or not.
Thank you, sir.
This kind of lighting creating more drama, right? If it was a totally flat light will be there, what happened? You, as in viewers, your attention will be all around, right? If everything is visible within the frame. But if that kind of contrast in this frame, see to it. What is visible? More or less, everything is visible. But due to contrast, as in viewers, your center of point is that character. Is that character? There's
Yes,
a many
on the
things
character.
within the scene, but your point of center of interest is that. So somehow this kind of lighting setup, it's just not create the mood also sometimes to draw the attentions. कि as in viewers, तुम इसी point पे ध्यान दो. To create that kind of feelings they are using. If there is a flat light, everything is visible. It will not create that much of tension, right? So create that kind of tensions, or sometimes related to the story they use low low key lighting. Just
Sir,
have already
hello.
was talking about this thing. Say to it.
Sir.
Yeah, just read it once again.
Yeah. सर चाहे लो की लाइटिंग हो या मतलब हाई की हो, बट उसमें शैडोज को सॉफ्ट एंड हार्ड तो वो मतलब कर सकते हैं ना, वो तो अपने कंट्रोल में है।
Now look, if there is a no shadows, right? So how could you produce like the low key lighting? There must be shadows. तभी होगा ना.
ओके ओके
There
मतलब
must
जैसे
be
क्वालिटी
shadows. Shadows नहीं होंगे
कंट्रोल
तो
किया जा सकता है
जैसे
दोनों में।
suppose for an example, look for this one and this things. What is there? Is there shadows or not?
यस।
There are shadows on eye, neck, उसके उस साइड वाले hand पे है ना, shadows है ना.
जी जी।
But what I'm talking about, you now see the eyes is not visible. Most of the since you guys have watched Godfather, most of the time his eye is not visible. Always they are using top lighting. And what I am talking about, I was talking about this shot. See in this shot, how bright it is. In terms of lighting, how bright it is.
Sir, that outdoor shot that was bright, but also but this shot also it's very contrasted shot now, sir.
No, in terms
It
of
also
light, just see to it. There's no that much of contrast if you compare to this one. It's too bright. It's too bright. So what happens? The sunlight is falling over there. You also got the bounce light also, right? You got bounce light too. So there is no that much of contrast. Contrast means don't get it with the shadows only. Contrast means what? The separation between two tones, that is called contrast. And how much difference within the tones, it totally depends by lights. So now you can say, for an example, this is a white sheet. Is it visible? Is it visible? So on white, if you put the black, that's called the contrast, right? You can say it's the full range of contrast. On black, there will be white. But somehow, if there's a gray scale, right? अगर gray होता जा रहा है ये या ज़्यादा black की तरफ आ रहा है, but somehow there is also contrast. The white से light white, थोड़ा सा white जाओगे, थोड़ा सा faded white में आते हैं, right? क्या होते जाते हैं? It's also contrast, but there is a less contrast. There is a contrast on gray scale. Have you seen the gray scale? Anyone of you? From pitch dark to lighter gray. Have you seen that? Pitch dark to lighter gray or gray or mid gray.
Yes, sir.
So you can see in terms of tones, वो change होते जाता है. That the darker gray become lighter, lighter, lighter. So there is a certain shades. But you can say there is a contrast. Difference between two tones create contrast. So there is also contrast, but not that much if you compare with this thing. If you compare this thing with this one, do you feel there's that much of contrast in like this one?
No.
This
No,
one
I
has
think-
that much contrast like this one? No, no.
No,
See
no.
the face, see the light, see the costumes. Not.
Yeah,
So I'm
yes.
comparing over here. Didn't mean that कि वहाँ contrast होगा ही नहीं. There will be contrast. अगर नहीं हुआ तो it's look totally flat, and flat image is not looking cool in terms of films. At least there will be ratio that we'll talk later. What is ratio is. So is it clear now, Rohit? No.
Yes, sir.
There is a contrast, but this one, there is a more contrast, there is a less contrast. Here, that here you're talking about. Calico. On the other side of the lighting spectrum, we have high key lighting in film. This is much softer lit and brighter compared to low key lighting. It has minimal shadows, less contrast, and more highlights. Right? ये आप ही के क्वेश्चन का आंसर था. The key versus fill light is in the setup is almost equal to with a ratio of nearby 1:1 or 1:2. This is eliminates almost all shadows. There is shadows, but there is a less shadows. And when we are talking about this one, it's a 1:8 ratio. It means your key or fill ka jo ratio, your key is 8 times higher than your fill. In this one, your key is only 2 times higher than your fill. So that's the differences that create, look, differences between key and fill light create contrast, right? और जितना ज्यादा contrast होगा, आपका image उतना ज्यादा low key lighting में होगा. That was I was talking about. See this film. कहाँ गए? I was talking about Moonrise Kingdom को shot कहाँ गया? That film. I'll show you that the Moonrise Kingdom, and even you guys can write down this film's name and see how less contrast in this film have. No, here it is clear more. See the hard light, see the soft light. Both images have the contrast.
Yes.
Both images have contrast, right? But in the right one, that the soft light have the less contrast and the hard light have the more contrast. The reason is that light become much softer. Quality of light have been changed. Also, there's a fill light. So when we are using fill light, it means you are just sorry. See the nose, shadows of nose is over there. But in this one, is that shadows is visible? No?
No.
So that's the soft light, that's the hard light. Have you seen the intensity of that light more or less nearby same? Do you think the hard light one looking more brighter and the soft one is not looking more brighter, it's less brighter? Is it like that? Not more or less, it's remaining same, right? Only the things have been changed is the quality that is softer. The softer the quality, the softer the shadows is, harder the quality, है ना? आपके shadows उतने hard होंगे. So for this one, through the shadows, you can recognize the quality of light. If there's a hard shadows, you can explain it. There's a hard light. If there's, don't get it with the intensity, right? Don't explain it with the intensity that the intensity of light is harder, right? Intensity of light could be brighter, but it's not harder. Maybe the brighter the light, harder the shadows, but at the same time, brighter the light in terms of intensity, higher the intensity, maybe it will be the laser the in terms of quality, the softer the light. Just for an example, I told you for the candle and your any kind of household bulb, household CFL or the bulb have that kind of, mm, like throw. But I'm talking about the tube lights, that's the CFL right now, or the LEDs and candles. Obviously, the LED has the more power, the 40 watt, 100 watt, more brighter. But in terms of like the quality, what happened? Aapka jo candle hai, that is producing more hard light in terms of quality than the tube light, which have the in terms of intensity that is higher than your candle. Now, is the intensity. How bright or intense a light is clearly to correct the exposure. But remember that no matter how bright or dark the overall light of a scene is, we can adjust it by the exposure correctly within the iris at an induction. Actually, one second. After the quality, let's discuss about the intensity. Intensity, I already explained you. It's just the how bright आपका कैंडल की इंटेंसिटी कम है, आपके बल्ब की इंटेंसिटी ज्यादा है. It's very simple, right? So in terms when you are explaining the light or in terms of light or quality of light intensity, also that कि बहुत ज्यादा bright light है or there's a less bright light is there. If there's a candle, there's a different kind of intensity. If there's a household bulb, there's a different kind of intensity. Fireworks or other light or sunlight, everything have the different intensity. So when you are explaining it within the scene, how bright or how less it is, you can explain it. So two things. Okay. Now the direction from which the key light comes at the actors is one of the most critical aspect of lighting. The most commonly used terminology 3x4, side, 3x4 and backlight. Direction of the light is a major determination not only of the shadows, but is also an important factor in the mood and emotional tone of a shot. If most of the light comes from the side or back, the scene will tend to be darker, more mysterious, more dramatic. Very simple. If the light is falling from the front, just like the flashlight, what happened? Does it create that kind of contrast? If the light is falling from the camera axis, just like the flashlight, what happened? Do you feel that is create that much of contrast? It's made your character totally flat, but both sides will the same intensity of light, right? So that's the reason more of the time it's a 45-degree angular, but it totally depends. It's totally your call. It's very subjective. It's just for the reasons they put that a 45-degree, 3x4, 3x4 back, but it's totally depend up to you how you want it to use. But there must be certain reason or logic why you use it. So direction is totally subjective, but through the direction, you can also recognize what director wanted to. So if there's a backlight, suppose for the backlight is only there, what happened? What it means? It's showing how mysterious it is. Because character ka face reveal nahi ho raha, but action, body postures, movement, everything is revealing. So what that create? That create the mysterious things, suspicious things. So it's totally, the director's call how they wanted to appear their characters, right? But once you are explaining it, you can explain it in terms of direction. If the backlight is falling, what it carries, if the frontal light is falling, what it means. If the top light is coming from the top, what does it means? Right? Look, texture is different things. Texture in terms of, you can recognize texture by surface of something, right? By surface of something, you can recognize the texture. But sometimes within the light, you can put texture and how it comes. See the difference between these two characters. See the skin of this character with the hard light. See the texture of in soft light. Do you feel a bit differences? Have you feel the differences in texture once you are using on camera filters? If anyone have used, just leave it. अगर use नहीं भी किया filter तो if you put any filter in edit, what happened? Does it change your texture or not? I'm talking about the skin texture.
Yes, I change.
Change. So that's the texture. Through the light, you can change the texture. Have you seen your face in a street light? कोई अगर photography की होगी. Have you shot in the daylight? Have you shot at like sunrise or sunset? Have you seen the differences in terms of texture of your skin? कुछ फर्क पता चलता है?
A
In
lot.
terms of skin ki baat, there's a certain differences. So that's through the lighting, through the soft light, through the hard light, there's a certain kind of texture that is made, texture of shadows, how hard it is, how soft it is, that shadows have certain texture, right? And one more thing, in terms of light, you can people are adding texture within the frame or within the scene. Sometimes there's a fog, there's a mistiness, right? They just put something on light, or that kind of halation is coming, or some pattern of light is coming from the fog through the fog. So that's also add on texture basically. That create those kind of mistiness within the frame, just like these things. This also adds a certain texture. So the four things is your texture. अभी हमने क्या क्या डिस्कस किया है? Quality, intensity, direction, and texture. Now, what I'm talking about, I was talking about this light. Yeah, that image, I got this. See how flat front lighting, how it looks, how dull it looks. Is it looking cool? Is it looking good? If you compare this image with this image, like, which one look more dramatic? That the flat front light or this one?
The previous one.
The previous one, right? So most of the time people are avoiding that the flat front light. So there will be some, the directional light. It could be 3x4 from the back, from the front. So 45-degree or yeah. So these are the basics basically, but it's very subjective. These are the totally basics. From where you wanted to do your key light, it's totally subjective. But there, अब ये भी नहीं मैं कहीं से कर दूंगा, there must be certain logic that why you are using it. Now, fifth one is color. As I was talking about the color right now, the color of the light also, or through the white balance also you can change. So sometimes that the color is, it could be the bluish or it could be the warm, right? ये warm भी हो सकता है और ये at the same point of time you can make it blue, but there is certain logic why you are using. Have you seen the most sci-fi movies? Have you ever seen any sci-fi movies that is warmer? To create the feel or mood of those things, most of the time it's that is related to science and fiction. That is, so most of the time it's bluish, right? कोई periodic film में देख लो, right? Have you seen those film kind of bluish? It's more faded, more warmer, right? So that color had a certain psychology, how you wanted to use colors within the films, how brighter it is, how warmer it is, or either it will be cool or not. So it's totally dependent, but there is certain psychology. We will discuss on it later. But in terms of lighting purpose, there's only 5 things that you must have to consider when you start writing about it. कि अगर film की lighting के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, at that point of time, you can discuss these 5 points. That is direction. Firstly, I started with the intensity, how bright it will be. You scene kitna bright. Another is after that brightness, light on kar di, brightness is there. Now, that light have the certain quality, that is hard or soft. Third is from where it is coming, that is direction. Fourth is texture, which kind of texture, right? On the character texture, I'm talking about the skin tone or either that kind of mistiness that they wanted within the scene. And fifth is color. Is it warm? Is it cool, or is properly whatever the skin tone is, that is like kind of white balance. Whatever the color temperature of light, you are using the same color temperature, you will got the exact skin tone. So if you wanted to make it warmer, you can use any filters, right? Or if you want the same as it is your skin tone is, you can set your white balance, and according whatever the light have the color temperature, you can use it. Or even you can, without choosing or without using any filters, you can make it warm or you can make it cool by changing the white balance. If you guys have familiar with the white balance, if you know the what is white balance is, so you can change it. So anyone have any doubt for this, the aspect of light? There's a 5 aspect of light, you guys can ask me. Anji, you wanted to ask, just guys ask, then we'll proceed further.
Sir, that you said that that we want to write it in point wise, we should write in exams.
How?
No, while explaining about the lighting, we should write in point wise. You said no.
Yeah, point wise. In terms of why it's a point wise. The things is that I'm not talking about the only they ask about the lighting and then the point wise. Maybe in any answers. I'm not only the lighting only, any answers, right? Writing in the points. If you give certain things as the headline, right? Like
So,
for if they are, yeah.
Can you explain any one of the pictures from this clip?
Any of the
Any one of the pictures in this clip. Can you explain the aspects of light?
in terms of aspect of light, you can clear the quality of light. Take the quality of light for an example. Here I'm explaining the quality.
No. Please, in point wise, that you explain the aspects of light for any one of the pictures in this clip.
But I took the different pictures for the different aspect, no? I took this picture for soft light, right? I took this pictures for hard light. I took this picture for the hard light, or either I took this picture for low lighting to explain the low lighting. Again, the same things. Low lighting, high contrast, right? So I took this. There is a wider shot. It's from the film. So before that, I just wanted to explain it. That's why I just took the random pictures. And now I'm explaining the quality in terms of the low key light, what is high key light for the movie's point of view, and what the psychology behind it, what the aesthetic behind it. So then I took an example of this film, No Country for Old Men, and then I explained this particular image. When you are explaining these things for the particular frame, right? It's not only the particular frame, whether here I'm explaining in terms of lighting. Now you can explain these two things, two frame, right? Godfather first shot, here you can see whether it is. The film does use different lighting techniques to change moods from scene 1 to scene 2. Now what you can say, if they ask for the Godfather lighting or something else, what you can, in terms of quality, you write down the quality and write down about the particular first scene. In that particular scene, there's a low key lighting, high key lighting, there's a low contrast, and why they use it. So you can explain that particular time, the things that reflect the happy mood of wedding, dancing, and the arrival of videos, whatever, right? because that kind of that particular scene is there's a very happily mood, family में weddings चल रही है, so that's the reason. बहुत contrast नहीं था, बहुत conflict नहीं था, everyone is too happy, so that way that area is brighter, there's a less contrast. But at the same point of time अभी बताता है उसके दामाद को ये किसी को मार देता है, in-laws को. Now he's conveying those things over there. So now saying the actual character over here. So that's the reason it's too dark. So at the same movies, at the same point of time, right? Through the lighting, they are changing the mood, or lighting in terms of what? Lighting in terms of quality of light. In terms of one quality, that is hard light, another is the soft light. So for the one film, there's a two different frame, and two different frame have the two different aspect of lighting, right? So here I'm taking the point from for different point, I took different examples. But I had to explain like the lighting for the film. Then I'll took any films or any shot of the films or particular scene from the film. And then I started explaining those things, right?
Okay.
So here, why I just took the one example for the different. For quality, I took another example. For direction, I took another example. For intensity or for texture, just like that. So if you have to explain the films, you ask the right question basically. Try to explain. You guys ever started explaining the films or writing about the films in terms of cinematography? You started? Firstly, just start watching films. Or if you started watching films, try to write about the films. है ना? और जैसा मैंने स्टार्टिंग में कहा था, डोंट यू हर्व की ये फिल्म बहुत अच्छी है, इट्स वेरी गुड, वेरी नाइस कैमरा मूवमेंट, good camera movement, don't write like that. What's the essence behind it, right? Just like for an example, we just took an example of that things for in Godfather, why they use that the top light, they don't want to show the eyes. The reason is that the character is very suspicious. So explain like that why they took that kind of close-up shots, why there's a low angle shot, right? So try to explain those elements. That is cinematography. Film achhi thi, that's another thing. That's why you are gonna watch it. That's why people are talking about those films. So don't write in terms of that, right? What is the essence behind it, right? What's the aesthetic behind that particular shot? And if you are not able to write about the whole films, write about only few parts of the film, few scene of the film. I started with that. And even just started with the films that you like. Don't go with that कि अरे मुझे वर्ल्ड सिनेमा का ये फिल्म देखने के लिए कह रहा है. Firstly, just try to start writing those things about the film, that film you like to watch. Then it's become easy for you to write. पहले ही कोई ऐसी फिल्म देख लिया जिसको देख के ही तुम्हारी हालत खराब हो गई. You're not able to write. If you're getting fed up with that time when you are watching films, you are getting bored, definitely you will not write it down. You will not. Firstly, write about the films that you like most. Write about that films, write about the cinematography of the films. And cinematography have the different aspects that we will also discuss on it. What is the aspect of cinematography, or in what point that you can write about. Just right now we have discussed on the lighting point. The same things with the framing, same things with the camera movement, lensing, frame size, aspect ratio. There's a many things comes in the terms of in terms of cinematography, on which you can discuss about the films. You can only write about the aspect ratio of the one film. What's the aesthetic of aspect ratio in certain films? If you guys have watched Lighthouse, if you guys have watched Grand Budapest Hotel, the aspect ratio plays a significant role in those films. So you can only write about those things. If you recognize we started watching films, try to watch those elements. There's many elements. But firstly, try to start writing about the films. That will help you out. You know. Or at least try to watch one movie in a day till exam. And not only watch, write about the films at least 2 point, 4 point, maybe the only in the starting, maybe you got the 2 points. That's okay. but at least write about 2 points. Start finishing watching films, write down there. I'm challenging you within 1 week. After 1 week, you are able to find 10 to 15 points without reading anything, without listening any director's point of view. Don't go to Google and search the things what the director talking about it. What's the aesthetic of that particular films? Don't go with that. Whatever you learn from that films, just write those things only. That will help you out. Don't go with the Googles. Google kiya, yahan se aa gaya. There's many persons talking about the films and framing. Don't go with that. Whatever you are learning from that particular things, just write down those things. That will help you out. Also, I'll recommend you guys few films. You guys can start watching those films and write the reviews. Oh, sorry, write about those films. Don't get it with it. Not the reviews. It's not reviews. Film appreciation. It's called film appreciation. So write down according to cinematography point of view. Don't get it with the direction point of view. और द एक्टिंग वाले एक्टिंग बहुत अच्छी की ये की वो किया ये कुछ नहीं करना है only cinematography perspective will be there once you are starting write about the film cinematography and try to solve few questions of previous year also. So anyone have any questions in this aspect of light, from the aspect of light? No. So guys, just let's take a break for 10 minutes, a short break, and then we'll resume with another topic. Okay.
Okay, sir.
पीपीटी दिख रही है ना सबको?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
ओके. वीडियो क्या हो गया? One second, yeah, let me. Hey, yaar, what happened? Oh my God. I think that there was some problem with my camera. So it's okay. I just started it. Okay, now after discussing that the aspect of lighting, now I'll discuss that what is 3-point lighting is. It is very simple. 3-point means lighting from three different axes is called 3-point lighting. It's very simple. Three different axes से light आएगी. That's called 3-point lighting. Now, in that 3-point lighting, what's the name of this light is? Yeah. Sorry. First one is the key light. Second is fill light. Third is backlight. तीन light के नाम हो गए, but what is the uses of this light is? Why the key light used? Used as a primary lighting point. It means primarily means you can say you're the brightest light source in this three lighting setup. That's called the key light, the brightest lighting source, or you can say is the primary light within a scene for your character, for your subject, or for your scene. That is called key light. It means पूरे scene में अगर आप देखोगे, the one light that is brighter than the other lights is called key light, or you can say primary light. The fill light is it's used to opposite the key or to fill the shadows area is called fill light. Okay. Now, third one is your backlight. Backlight is why you use the backlight to create a separation between background to characters. You use backlight, and you can say then what is background light? It's very simple. It's the third 3-point lighting only. Backlight is light that will fall on your character is called backlight, or light that will fall on the background is called your background light, right? But both have the same things. It will create a separation between background to character, just like your passport size photograph. If you've seen those photographs, if you guys have right now, you can see it. There's a no separation in your character in the background. It's look like you are merging. It's the two-dimensional things. So create that separation, we use that third light because whatever the image that is processed and you are seeing those images either on the printed surface or either on monitor, either on your phone, it's two-dimensional only. It's width and height only. There's a no depth at all. So to create that illusion of depth, we have to show that the third dimension. So that's the reason we are using this 3-point light कि आपके character का एक structure निकल के आए, so that create a sense of depth through the lighting. So through the lighting, basically we are creating that illusion of depth. So now key light, as you know, is the primary light or main source of light, the brightest light. Fill light, you can say that mirroring the key light on the opposite side of the camera. The fill light literally fills in the shadows area, right? आपके जो शायद जो की लाइट से shadows area बना है, to fill that light we use fill light. Now here is the example, so you can see over there. Oh, what is happening? So you filter something. Again, I have to. appear. Will not work. Okay. Now see this, the three images. Now in first one, there's only key light. So see how another part, the right hand side, is darker. Now see the second one that use the fill light. Now you can see the key light is much brighter than the fill light. So now you can say that the primary source is from the left side. So that is called the key light. Another area that is for filling the shadows area for the fill light. And now you can see on the ear part, on the back side of the characters, on the shoulder, on the ear, you can see one light and one line. It's called the backlight. And the technical name of this backlight is kicker light. It's kicker. Kicker means the kicking the character, basically. That's the kicker light from the behind the characters. Most of the time in the static shot or the portrait, try to avoid that kicker light should not fall on the nose of the character. So you have to find the angle. That light should not fall on the nose of the characters. काफी annoying सा लगता है वो basically a nose पे आएगा. So you have to see the position of that light. It should not fall on the character. But once it will be in movement, so character will nodding the head and something else, so then it will be fall. But for the static, try to avoid it. Now say this one. Now in this one, you can see it's the kicker light. Basically, it's not the rim. It's the kicker light. As the name is kicker. Rim, you can say one, it's make whole circle. Circle in the sense from this side to this side. So that will be the rim light. So you can say it's a kicker light. Now you can see there's a key light. Through the key light, you can see the rest part, the right, sorry, left hand side. This is feeling darker, right? Once there is a key and rim, what had happened? It's kind of flat. There's no much more contrast. There's a shadows behind the neck. There is a shadows. Oh, sorry, behind chin there is a shadows, but not much more area. It's nearby the flat light. It is.
That is 2-point lighting.
You can say 2-point lighting. No, obviously. So 3-point means lighting from three different axes. It didn't mean the number of lights. Suppose for the key light, you are using a key light that is 45-degree angular, but that is not brighter light. So even you are using 2 or 3 light at the same point, right? And using bigger diffusion to diffuse it, still it's a 1-point light. So basically 3-point lighting is the basic setup to, the create a certain depth within a frame, within the static frame is the basic setup. Now it's totally dependent, it's totally subjective how you want it to use. If there is a low key, if there is a high key, according to that, there will be the 3-point, maybe sometimes it will be 4-point. You can use key, you can use fill, you can use kicker or hair light, you can use background light. So you can add on basically. So it's totally subjective, but the basic is remains same. That is 3-point lighting. And maybe in 3-point lighting, you can only use 1 point. That is top light, only key light is there. There's no fill, there will be only negative fill is there. So it's totally depend. You can use one. It didn't mean 3-point lighting means always you have to do it. It's not always necessary, but you must know the use of it. That's why we are explaining it. What's the differences once we are using a single light, once you are using a 2 light, once you are using a 3 light. So you can feel the differences. So according to that, you can explain it or you can use it. By seeing the image, now you can recognize, is there 3-point lighting or only 2 light? There's only key and fill, or there is only key and kicker, or there's only kicker and key. So now you can recognize it. Here is another example. See the difference without backlight, there's a key fill. See the difference between these two. Still my video is off, right?
Yes, sir.
What happened here? Oh. We'll find it tomorrow. Yeah. Excellent. Now, see the difference without backlight and the with backlight. How by adding one light only, that is your backlight, is creating differences. What happened? Is it creating depth or not? Is it creating a third dimension, illusion of third dimension character or not? In previous one, without backlight, the left-hand side one, just see to it clearly. It's look like that the character is merging in background. Is it looking or not?
Yeah,
But
especially on
in
hairs.
but in second one, it's look like your character is standing out from the background. So that's create a certain separation within for the character in the background. So in second one, look more realistic as in human point of view because it creates certain depth. But in first one, see carefully that it's look like that the character is merging in the background. There's no backlight at all. So that's the reason for using this 3-point lighting. So if you have to explain, you can explain like that. Key light is primary or main brightest source of the light, to fill the shadows area. And the backlight or the background light is creating separation between character and the background. Is it clear now? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now in this one, clearly you can see key light and fill light. Is it visible? Is there backlight? Is there
Yes,
backlight or background light?
background light.
Background. Just think very simple, very simply. Just think about it. There's only key and fill, and background there will be no light. What happened? Do you feel that kind of that much of depth in this frame? Is it possible? Without background light, do you feel that kind of? अगर वो background पे light नहीं होता, there is only key and fill. क्या होता? इतना
There won't
depth
be
create
any
होता?
depth.
There's no depth. And visually क्या है? हमें we have to always we have to create the illusion of depth. Either you guys are composing or anything else should not look flat. Flat में engage नहीं होता. अभी इस frame में क्या होता है? There is engagement. There is a depth. And also now you can recognize from where key is, from where fill is. Even now can recognize from where key light is falling the direction of light. It's not from the front. It's the side way of the character. See that nose. Half of the nose, how sharp it is. That light is not falling another side. So it's not nearby the 45-degree angular. If it will be 45, what happened? Nose पे shadow आता like this. कहाँ गया वो image जो था nose वाला? The previous one. Not this one. So in this one, ये बन रहा है? Have you seen the shadows, no? When you can recognize the direction of light. Here's another example. Have you seen this? This is the 45-degree angular थोड़ा above से होता है. Let's make the triangle on the another side, the fill side. There will be the triangle. It's called Rembrandt lighting. Rembrandt is the art form of the painting also. और ऐसा ही अगर आता है, अगर through the lighting you can achieve it. That's called Rembrandt lighting. It's also 3-point lighting. It doesn't mean there's only one light setup. It could be this side, could be the fill, but there will be the less fill. Or maybe there is a negative fill. For this image, there's a negative fill. So this kind of triangle is formed by the positioning of light. It's called Rembrandt lighting. This lighting called Rembrandt lighting. Clear?
Yes, the triangle means the near the nose.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay.
It's a shape of nose, no? And the direction of the light. The shadows of nose is over there, above the character. So that's for one triangle. The another side is not falling. That is making one triangle. On the lower the eyes, that's one. So it's forming the triangle shape basically. And it's also depend upon the how nose of your character is, how sharp it is, right? And according to that, it will be in the positioning of the light. So it's creates certain the depth within the images, right? It's not look flat. So sometimes we use for the portrait, for the film also, we are using this kind of techniques. It's called Rembrandt art form. One second, guys. Give me one second. Okay. Now here it is. Now, after the key and fill light that I explain it to you, it means there will be certain contrast. If you can see over there between key and fill, contrast, hai na? So it means your key light is much in terms of intensity. Your key light is much harder. Sorry, in terms of intensity, much higher than your fill light. So there is a certain, in terms of intensity differences between key light and fill light. What is that difference called? उस difference को कहते क्या है? That's called the lighting ratio basically. In terms of lighting, this is the ratio. Ratio means what's the difference between key light and fill light in terms of a stop or in terms of intensity. Suppose for an example, if you are using 1000 watt bulb for the 1000 watt intensity for the key light, and you are using 500 watt intensity for the fill light, the ratio is, what will be the ratio? क्या होगा ratio?
2:1.
2:1, right? It's 2:1. So that kind of lighting called 2:1, whether your key light is double the fill, or either you can say your fill light is half of your key. It could be, right? Both sentences are right.
Yes.
So you can say कि अगर की उसका डबल है और की उसका हाफ, सॉरी फिल उसका हाफ है, it means the lighting ratio is 2:1. Just read it once. यहाँ पर Lighting ratio is the figure we give to a measured relative difference in brightness between two parts of a scene, as opening the aperture by one stop, double the amount of light reaching the film. Two surfaces where one is brighter by one stop of exposure than the other will therefore have a lighting ratio of 2:1. Where there are several surfaces, each a stop brighter than the next, each time you open the range of your comparative reading by one stop, the amount of light reaching the film will double. Therefore, lastly, that we have discussed, I told you that one stop means what? Either in terms of exposure, it will be half or double, right? If you are increasing the intensity, it means you are doubling the intensity. In terms of exposure, suppose karo, you are shooting on f4 and now you make it for the 2.8. What happened?
Brightness doubled.
वन स्टॉप एक्सपोजर बढ़ जाएगा.
So, one stop means what? अगर मैं बात कर रहा हूं, if I am talking about the one stop difference in terms of what? Suppose karo, for an example here's example, right? Now I can say the difference between your key and fill. Your key is one stop brighter than your fill. What it means? What does it means? Suppose for this image, I can say your key and fill, your lighting ratio is over here. The difference is one stop. It means what? It means very simple. Your key light is in terms of exposure, doubling the fill, right? So when we are talking about the in terms of lighting ratio, we can say if there's a one stop difference ki lighting karo, it means you are talking about 2:1. When we are saying two stop, it means what? Two stop difference means just for an example, if there is a 1,000 watt light and I'm saying that the intensity of your key light is 1,000 watt, right? And I want the fill light should be 250. What it is? What it is? 250 is what?
4:1.
4:1. 4:1 means what? Is the two stop only. Because once there is a 1,000 watt, 500 watt become one stop. 250 become what? Two stop. 125 become three stop. But in terms of lighting, what is happening over there? वहां तो डबल होता जा रहा है ना differences. 2:1, 4:1, 8:1, 16:1 in terms of lighting. हो रहा है? Once there is a one stop difference, it means your key light is double the fill light. Once there is a two stop, it means your key light is 4 times higher than your fill light. Because in every stop, there will be in terms of intensity, if you are higher it will be double, low karo the half. Half of what? Not from the main. From the previous stop, it will be half, or from the previous stop, it will be double. So whatever the intensity in the previous stop, now it will be half or double. You guys are getting my point, or is there any confusion?
Yes, sir.
Confusion hai?
नहीं, sir.
Anyone have any confusion? There's another way I can explain it. If you guys have any confusion to understand this lighting ratio,
Yes, sir.
confusion है. ठीक है, चलो.
Yes.
Suppose for an example, अभी यहाँ पर key and fill light. Do you understand key and fill light? Are you
Yes, sir.
understanding key and fill light? समझ रहे हैं आप?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Key light is the primary light and the brighter light within the scene, and there is a fill light. So, in the both light have the different intensity. अलग है, fill का कम है, key का ज्यादा है. Very simple.
Yes, sir.
है ना? But what is the exact difference between key and fill light? You must have to measure it. What the exact distance is or difference is. For that reason, कैमरा में लाइट मीटर होता है. Inside the camera there is a meter होता है, +1 -1 की तरफ जाता है. You guys have seen that
Yes, sir.
in your camera? Guys, have you used these things?
Yes,
The
sir.
meter?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No, I'm asking that.
Spot meter.
Not the spot meter.
Exposure evaluator.
Exposure evaluative. You guys have seen that it's the reflective light meter that you can say. Sweta, you have asked this question?
Yes, sir.
So Sweta, have you used camera?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So your camera have the meter. Have you seen that? Just forget about the light meter. Once you are releasing your shutter, pressing down your shutter, you can see that in metering mode, वहां कुछ आता है +1 2 3 -1 2 3.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
आता है? So
Yes.
that's the things. अगर आप measure करोगे, the right hand side, if it will be in center or 0, left hand side, it could be -1. So that's the difference. Now from 0 to -1 means what? The one stop differences. One stop difference. एक stop हो गया ना 0 to 1 में. 0 is in center और metering mode पे देखोगे माइनस की तरफ 1 आ गया. एक stop का difference हुआ. There's a difference of one stop only.
Yes, sir.
For an example बता रहा हूँ. आएगा 1 पे. Now when we are talking about the exposure जो हम पहले ही बात की थी, when we are talking about the one stop. One stop means what? Suppose करो as an aperture point of view, 4 to 2.8. What happened? 4 to 2.8 क्या होगा? 4 to 2.8 क्या हो रहा है? We are just opening it one stop by one stop ना. Aperture का नंबर याद है आपको? 1 1.4 2 2.8 4 5.6 8 11
Yes, sir.
16 याद है? So 4 to 2.8 में क्या हो रहा है? Are you increasing the light or decreasing the light?
Increasing the light.
Are you increasing the light or decreasing the light?
So we are decreasing it.
No.
4 से 2.8 पे जाएंगे तो
4 से
light
2.8
बढ़ेगा.
beta, we are just increasing na. Larger the number, smaller the opening. So smaller the number,
Larger
larger
the
the opening.
Larger the-
Opening ज्यादा हो रहा है ना यहाँ पर. तो लाइट आ रही है ना. आप श्वेता डू वन एक्सरसाइज. अभी इस क्लास के बाद थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूजन है, तो व्हाट यू कैन डू, राइट डाउन द अपर्चर नंबर 1 1.4 2 2.8 से जितने भी हैं 32 तक. ठीक है? एंड अकॉर्डिंग टू दैट नंबर्स आप ओपनिंग बनाते जाओ कि 1 पे सबसे बड़ा खुल रहा है, उसके बाद धीरे धीरे छोटा हो रहा है, होते जाएगा. होगा ना? आप उस एक्सरसाइज को करो इन टर्म्स ऑफ इंटेंसिटी, और सेम एक्सरसाइज फॉर द इन टर्म्स ऑफ डेप्थ ऑफ फील्ड. कि नंबर बढ़ने पे डेप्थ ऑफ फील्ड पे क्या होता है, और नंबर बढ़ने पे एक्सपोजर के साथ क्या होता है. द सेम थिंग्स, जस्ट प्रैक्टिस 2 or 3 टाइम्स, इट विल बी क्लियर्ड. ये आपका क्लियर हो जाएगा.
Okay, sir.
पहले आप वो एक्सरसाइज करो, फिर अगर ये चीज समझ में नहीं आ रही तो देन अगेन आई विल डिस्कस इट सेपरेटली। ये मैं आपको ये स्टॉप समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, फिर मैं बता दूंगा। एनीवन हैव एनी डॉट्स? और किसी को समझ में नहीं आ रहा है? Anyone have the confusion? But it's very simple, guys, to understand this stop. There will be, when you are doing the key and fill light, there will be a difference between in terms of intensity, and that intensity, that differences, that contrast is measured in terms of a stop or in terms of lighting ratio. So if your lighting, your fill light is half of your key light, it means it's the 2:1, right? If it's the quarter of it, it's the 4:1. And according to that, in terms of a stop, what we calculate, if you are opening it, you are making it brighter in one stop, so you are doubling the light. And if you are decreasing it, you're just halving the amount of light. एक चीज और समझ लो, क्या कहते हैं, हाँ, in terms of ISO एक चीज बताओ श्वेता, 100 1/100th of shutter speed and 1/50th, क्या हो रहा है दोनों में? 1/50th of shutter and 1/100th of shutter, क्या डिफरेंस है in terms of lighting?
सर अब if 100/50 है तो वो ज्यादा जल्दी क्विक.
No, I'm asking about in terms of lighting. क्या हो रहा है?
लाइट की इंटेंसिटी मतलब जितना ज्यादा शटर ओपन रहेगा उतना ज्यादा लाइट अंदर आएगा.
How much, that I want to ask, because here I'm comparing it.
So it will be increased by one stop.
One stop.
Yes.
In which I'm the 50, right? Because 100 से
Yes.
50 हुआ one stop. So basically, you are doubling the light. Double हो रहा है ना?
Yes, sir.
One stop में light क्या हो जाएगा? Double हो जाएगा. बड़ा simple है. That 50 को 100 कर दोगे, क्या हो जाएगा? That 1/50 become 1/100. What happened?
Sir, it
आधा
will
हो,
be,
half ना?
yes, half.
So that's the things. Either half or double. वही तो stop में खेल है, और क्या है? It's very
Okay.
simple. Okay. Just practice 1 or 2 times. You got that. अच्छा guys, मुझे कुछ लोगों ने पिक्चर्स भेजे थे, 2 लोगों के पिक्चर्स मुझे मिले हैं. So we have bit time, so let's discuss on it. PPT is visible? ये दिखाई दे रहा है तुम लोगों को?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
That
sir.
photograph, that photograph? ये फोटोग्राफ दिखाई दे रहे हैं आप लोगों को?
Yes, sir, दिखाई दे रहा है.
Okay, who captured this one?
Sir, it's me, Gautam.
Okay, Gautam. Okay, Gautam, let's just start with this one. Both two are your images, right?
Yes, sir.
So look, according to rule of third, yeah, it's just a place on right position. Also, there is a contrast, right? Colors is also good. The composition well composed. That it's a bit off than rule of third, thora center, but it's okay. Just now we have discussed right now the lighting aspect. Just think about if inside the house, if there's a little bit warm light or anything else, how depth it will create it. Karta na? There will be depth or not. But because
Yes, sir.
inside the room it's too dark, so your characters start merging. No, for this point of view, all right. what happened? Your center of interest is the child who's looking nearby. So you must have to go a bit closer to show the expression of this person, because in foreground, again, that wall or something else. Have you seen my mouse? Are you able to
Yes,
see
sir.
my mouse cursor? You can crop this image, see to it, crop it from here. So, there will be more interest and that character look more dominating. Right now, his look too smaller because there's a more, foreground, there's walls and everything is dominating. So your character is on rule of third according to that, but the thing is that wall, that bond is dominating that character. So to show the dominance, to show the characters, the emotions, अभी बहुत छोटा लग रहा है ना? So that's the things you can go to bit closer, because if your center of interest is that child, if not, you just wanted to establish these areas on house and anything else, then it is okay. Then there's no problem. So it's totally depend upon your, choice or center of interest on which you wanted to capture. But the thing is that in both things, both images, there's a human beings, there is a, life, there is a living element. So that's the reason your images or your composition is looking good. And there is certain movement, basically. It's not a static, there's certain movement. In that character, someone is playing flutes or other things. In this one, that child had a certain body posture, so it's look like he is waiting for someone or something else. So it's not looking so basically it's looking dynamic, not a static. Again, his images. As a rule of third, that's great. So you have to more look if there's a rain or something else, you must have to try to capture in colors. So things will visible more. It's raining, right? Or from
Yes,
mirror
sir.
or something else you captured.
Yeah.
So you are using faster shutter.
Yes, sir.
So what happened in this one? No? Everything have the certain texture, but that texture is not properly visible in black and white. The reason due to rain, because rain have the certain texture that comes in foreground. So if you capture it in colors, that umbrella have the certain colors and that look more dominating. How rain, how umbrella can save or something else, how with like that kind of sense it could make. Abhi umbrella जैसा लग भी नहीं रहा है proper, right? Do you
Yes.
have the color image of this one? In post you fix it, or rather you capture in black and white?
No, I captured in black and white one.
Try to think about it if it will be, in colors. This image is good. That contrast is looking good, that the black and white. You can capture it bit balanced. It's a little bit unbalanced, your camera positioning, no? A bit unbalanced. And that character is not properly on rule of third, but it will be okay. And mean that it will be. But that contrast is nice. And that pattern is looking cool. But always don't, limited yourself within this kind of composition colors. Always think when you are capturing black and white or monochrome that why you are capturing it. Not always capture the black and white look very artistic, that's why I captured it. You must have certain reason when you are capturing black and white. You must have. To my Sagar, so that's according to rule of third. That character is dominating. It's okay. Again, you choose those colors, the black and white and at all. ऊपर वाला भी आपका है सागर?
No, sir.
The birds one किसका
Sir,
है ये? It's you?
that's my, yes.
That's it. Okay. The composition is good, but the thing is that on that day we have discussed the simplicity, right? Abhi isme kya, you are not get closer to that character. There's a many things that is distracting. That shape is looking cool. If
I
you're that
captured this in mobile, so
uh, but the things is that the the texture and the shape of these things is coming nicely, but try to crop bit more from the lower so that birds and that the moon is coming clearly. अभी ना क्या हो रहा है पूरे सीन में that trees का जो वो है वो सारी चीजें dominate कर रही हैं आपके फ्रेम को. In this one, what happened, Sagar? You cropped much areas of characters. That's why I'm talking about the negative space. Abhi piche, after the shoulders, that should must be come in within the frame, and that area should comes in the frame. So बहुत crop कर दिया आपने. So don't need to crop that much of area. There must be, breathing space is much important. इतना crop नहीं करते. When your headroom is not that much. See how much wider area it is when you are looking for the looking space. See how tight head spaces. It's look too claustrophobic for the character. So don't get it. Headroom bhi hoga, negative space bhi hoga. Until unless if there is certain reason to capture it. If for the composition and for the rule of third only, इसमें आपको space देना पड़ेगा. So that's it, guys. If you guys have any questions, you can ask the person who is not sending their images. That's okay. I will not ask you again and again, guys. It's just for you composition. I will discuss. I will not show you that what you do in terms of photography and what is good and how to capture the photograph. No one gonna tell you because it's totally subjective. But I can explain you that point. What should be not inside the frame, what you can avoid. So through that you can improve your skills in terms of photography. So if you don't want to say, it's totally your call, guys. So you guys have any questions, any doubt regarding lights or that the quality of light or the aspect of light?
Sir, I have one doubt regards
Yeah.
stops. That when it comes to stop, you told that when we are increasing, that it will double, and when we are decreasing, that it will be reduced as half.
Yeah.
So in latest cameras also, is this working like this?
Yeah, obviously they are giving certain points. Suppose like now for an ISO, they are giving 100, 150, then 200. Within that,
Yeah.
there's a two stop that they're mentioning. But it's digital, that's why they are giving it. But
Okay. So the
you can use it, but you must have to calculate. Just suppose for an example, every filter don't have the one stop filter. Every net or diffusion material, maybe it will only reduce the half of stop, quarter of a stop, right?
So according to each camera, the stops differs.
No, it's totally depend on manufacturer how they wanted to use those things. But it didn't mean that in any camera there is a 4.5, and then 5.6. It didn't mean that 4 to 4.5 will be one stop. No, 4 to 5.6 is one stop.
Oh, okay. That's
4 to 4.5 is not one stop. It could be the quarter.
okay, 1/10.
Just like your ISO 100 to 150 is not one stop. 200
Okay.
is one stop. 150 is 1.5 stop.
Okay.
That's the thing. It's a half stop only.
Okay.
0.5. It's just like that. So just remember that aperture number. In that one, it will be half and double. Or in terms of ISO or shutter, whatever it is, 30 to 60, 60 to 120, 120 to 240, 120 or के बाद अगर कहीं से 160 आ रहा है, didn't mean that you are doubling it. 120 का doubling is 240. 120 ka, sorry, the doubling is basically it's a halving. In terms of ISO, it will be double. If you're increasing it, light will be half. Right? Suppose करो 120 shutter है तो 60, doubling the amount, 30, doubling the amount. But
So
30,
in aperture, how should we remember?
it's very simple. Just remember 1 and 1.4 are not doubling it.
Okay, 1.4.
1 and 1.4. No, repeat करो मेरे साथ. 1 and 1.4. 1 का double 2, 1.4 का double 2.8. Okay, 2 ka double 4, 2.8 ka double 5.6. So just like that. 5.6, 4 ka double 8, 5.6 ka 11, 8 ka 16, 11 ka 22, 16 ka 32. Like that. Just remember two numbers only. 1 and 1.4. How many numbers you will remember? Okay?
Okay.
So thank you guys. See you tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot.
Sir,
हाँ बताइए.
sir, I have sent my photos to you.
I didn't get it. I only got the 2 mail. Could you send your mail ID, please?
Okay, sir. So can I
Sir,
send it?
I have also sent the pictures.
Maybe it will be in a spam because by evening I just take it out. I didn't get your mail ID. Just tell your mail ID. Just
Sir, satyaprabhushanmugam@gmail.com, sir.
Satya, do you have my phone number?
Yeah, sir, I am having.
Just text me over there.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
sir. Okay. Okay.
Just text me your mail ID over there. I'll check it in a spam.
Yeah, sir.
Thank you. Okay, dear. Thank you, guys. Good night, everyone. Good night, dear. Thank you.